Relax, it's a light gun. YouTube, please don't demonetize me. I love light gun games. This is a Sega Saturn Stunner. I love it, but the problem is the trigger gets a little bit mushy in its old age. There's a lot of travel in that trigger. So there is a solution out there, a mod kit that is available on the internet for various ranges of light guns, which can replace the trigger with a more modern solution. It's affordable. You can do it yourself. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I did it, replacing the trigger in my Sega Saturn Stunner. Let's go. Whenever I'm playing on a Sega Saturn with the Stunner, I always get a little bit tired after a while. That trigger, boom, boom, boom. It's got a lot of travel in it. And even if we compare it to the Dreamcast, there's a lot more travel in that. The Dreamcast is not too bad. I can play this guy for a while, for an hour, and it still isn't so bad. We can then compare this one to the Guncon 2, which is the new trendy way to play light guns on the Mister, and it's got like so little travel that I actually find the Guncon 2 quite good to play with, and this one not so bad. But the Sega Saturn one, this needs a trigger replacement. So there's a user out there on eBay called MagicTrashman, and what he's done is produce replacement trigger internals that use a modern microswitch. So when you make the order, this is essentially what you get. And this is a 3D printed mount with just a standard micro switch that you might find in any arcade stick or some sort of joystick like that. And there's a version for each of the light guns, and supposedly this will drop in. Now I'm going to need to connect wires to these points, so some small amount of soldering or something you will need to do there. But it's basically a drop in mod. I ordered one for the Sega Saturn Stunner. I also ordered a second one for the Dreamcast, and you can see they've decided that the Dreamcast one doesn't need the lever. See, it just presses in like that, where the Sega Saturn one, they've decided with the design of the stick, they need the lever. So I'm really keen to get a much more responsive Sega Saturn Stunner light gun. That's a mouthful to say. I'm going to keep getting it wrong. So I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to open up the Sega Saturn Stunner, and I'm going to replace that. Then we're going to look at the end. Is there an improvement in the trigger with this modern micro switched solution? Let's have a look. This is our Sega Saturn Stunner. It's held in by screws here, all along there. So I'm going to open this up first, and let's have a look at the insides. So the trigger is going up, hitting the original switch that looks like the shoulder button of a Sega Saturn pad. I'm going to have to remove it completely, apparently. So I'm going to need to desolder and remove that. The next part, what you need to do is pull up this cabling here. That circle fits right over that and is going to slot into place here. We can already see how it's supposed to work. So if I remove that extra button there, that won't fire, and instead hook it up to this, and it's fit quite well, quite snugly in there, and it keeps on going. Quite a little ingenious design. First up, I'm going to remove the original micro switch there so it doesn't get in the way. I'm pretty sure that the two pins near the edge of the PCB, they'll be ground, and the other two the signal lines. So later on, I'm going to resolder back into those. Let's take out that button now. Another factor with this gun is I suspect also what's causing a little bit of friction is actually where the trigger is meeting in here. I can sort of hear a squeaking that's not coming from the new micro switch. So what I'm going to do is use a little bit of Shin-Etsu grease. This is the stuff that you use to lube up a arcade stick. It's the exact type. And I'm going to put some in here just to lubricate that area and see if that helps the button a little bit. So I stuck the Saturn Stunner back together and it didn't work. I've probably done some dodgy wiring. I better open it up again. Okay, yeah, it works. I just installed the start button upside down so I couldn't even get through the main menu of Virtua Cop. But it's good. Let's go. So I've just had a solid game of Virtua Cop 2 on the BVM, and I really like this trigger in the end. I was skeptical at first. I have to admit, it took me a few games to come around to it, because when I inserted the trigger, it was still kind of creaky. It was still sort of making a weird noise. The Saturn Stunner is not a good design, which is probably why they changed it on the Dreamcast. But the more I played it, the more that trigger is feeling good. It's tight. There's still a bit of travel on it, but you can't help that with the Stunner design. And overall now, I really got used to it, I think. The eBay seller's name is MagicTrashman. I'm going to obviously put the link in the description. And the drop down here says Sega Saturn Stunner, Guncon 1, Guncon 2, NES Zapper, 3 versions of the Dreamcast, the original, the MadCatz and the Starfire, the Konami Justifier, and the Konami Hyper Blaster. So he's got a wide range of those. They're made to order, and he'll also do combined shipping if you need. So do I recommend this? Well, they cost about $10, and yeah, if you can get them. The problem for me is that I live in the United States of communistic, socialistic European unions, which means the postage was another probably $13 on top of that. And because I live in this wonderful union, the VAT tax was another $7. So all up, I paid about double. I paid $40 for 2 triggers. And that's not the seller's fault, but I really wanted to try them. And I think I've got a good result out of the Saturn Stunner. So follow them if you want to do it. Simple soldering skills are all you're going to need. It took me about 10 minutes to do the job. It's something you can do yourself, maybe a first mod project. So that's it. Not a bad mod for your Sega Saturn. My name's Zez. Thanks for this quick one. I'll see you next time.